I want to further discuss Marjorie Taylor Greene's idea of a national divorce. Now, this is an idea that has stimulated a lot of comment, a lot of it derisive from the left, most of it very uninformed, and sometimes uninformed on both sides of the debate. But let's begin by thinking about what Marjorie Taylor Greene meant by this, because the concept of a national divorce can be understood in more than one way. In fact, I can think off the top of my head of at least 3 or 4 ways that we can interpret it. So one way to interpret it would be, for example, secession. We split the country into 2, and of course that has some sorts of operational difficulties. It's not quite as simple of north-south or east-west. It would have to be a very complex division. So that's option, but it's only option number 1. Option number 2 would be that we create parallel societies. 2 Americas inside of America, something I've argued for, and something that to some degree is already happening. I'll say more about that in the next segment. But that's the second option. A third option is decentralization of power. Take power away from Washington. Now we can see that people in Washington won't want to give up power without a fight, without a struggle. But nevertheless, the idea of dispersing power to the different jurisdictions, that way red states can live the way they want, blue states can live the way they want. The federal government oversees the process, but it's not the kind of nerve center of making decisions for the whole country. So these are 3 different ways to think about the so-called national divorce. Let's listen to Marjorie Taylor herself, because she gave a lengthy interview in which she spelled out her thoughts about it, which I think are quite provocative. And the first thing she says is that many Americans are giving up. They're sick of the talking heads that just complain about problems and politicians who don't fix anything, while the right keeps taking beatings and abuse from the left. So this is her point, that our starting point is kind of the Texas motto: we're not going to take it anymore. It's not enough just to sit around and analyze and comment and do, depressing shows, hopefully mine and not included, in which people just talk about how the world is coming to an end and how this is going to make you really angry and next time it's going to make you angrier. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is, we need a way out of this. And it's hard to say that she's not right about that. Now, of course, there are some people saying to Marjorie Taylor Greene, well, listen, let's remember that California used to be Nixon country. It used to be Reagan country. And look at even people like Pataki and look at people like Mayor Giuliani. They were elected to power even in New York. But Marjorie Taylor Greene goes, well, that may have been true once, but not now. She says, quote, the red California that gave us Reagan is gone. And that was a long time ago. California is now like a weird communist country. And it's true. It may well be today. We used to always think and take it as a premise, it's better to live in America than anywhere else. But there may be lots of places now in the world that are better to live in than, say, California, given the sort of not only the confiscatory taxes, but the repressive regulations. She goes on to say, Matt Gaetz is right when he says our government constantly cheats on its own people with foreign countries. And Marjorie Taylor Greene says, marriage counseling we all need. What she's getting at here is, think about in marriage, of course, infidelity is a way to betray marriage. And when you have political leaders in this country that would rather seek the welfare of illegals trying to come into the country, or rather seek the welfare of people in Ukraine or people in China over U.S. citizens, then you know that the marriage, if you will, has a problem. She goes on to say, reducing the power and size of the federal government and giving more to the states in order to protect ourselves and our kids from the abusive left is the bold action that needs to be taken. So here she's getting to one interpretation of the divorce, and that is federalism. Now, federalism is in no way a national divorce. The American founders favored federalism. They favored dispersing power to the states. They wanted a central government to do certain essential things, but they limited the power of that government. And it became a characteristic of our society that we have limited government as opposed to the unlimited government that you have in other democratic societies. You think about a country like England, which is a democratic country for sure, but they have a parliamentary system of government, and parliament, you may say, is king. And I mean that phrase almost literally, because just as the king had almost unlimited power. It could essentially vote to take away your house or suppress this guy's free speech. Parliament has that kind of power, even now. It's restrained somewhat by the common law, but otherwise it has virtually unlimited power in principle, but not in the United States. And then, says Marjorie Taylor Green, just like the prodigal son, once the left gets to truly live in their own filth that they've created without us, then they will be able to realize the error of their ways. So here she's pivoting to the other definition of a national divorce, which is, hey, listen, let the blue states make decisions and live with the consequences. If people want to see rampant crime on the streets, they want to see homeless people, intruding on you, insulting you with obscenities, sitting outside your home or your apartment, defecating in front of you as you walk by. You know what? That's your America. You do that. You live with it and see how well you like it. Don't make us live like that. Don't make us subsidize your disgusting ways. So this is, I think, a kind of clarification of what Marjorie Taylor Green is getting at. She's not specifying a particular remedy. She's not saying, let's secede. What she's saying is, let's think of ways in which we can break this log jam in which the left is repressively shutting down our basic rights, our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom of movement. They're trying to make us live in their America, and we won't.